On November 23rd, 1996, in a peaceful Swedish town called Husum, a dark secret hid in the shadows. This secret involved a 16-year-old girl, Malin Lindström, and it's a story that would haunt her family and puzzle investigators for many years. Stay with us as we uncover a cold case of relentless hope, modern breakthroughs, and the revival of long-lost emotions. But before we continue, please subscribe and drop a comment to help us bring more true crime stories for you. On the 23rd of November 1996, the day started like any other for Malin Lindström, as she eagerly hopped on a bus in Ormskoldsvik, her heart full of excitement to see her friend. It was a simple journey that should have ended with laughter and stories to be shared, but fate had other plans. Little did she know that would be the last time anyone would see her alive. Malin vanished without a trace, leaving her family desperate and worried. As the hours passed and the bus reached its destination, something strange began to unravel. Malin never arrived to meet her friend, and minutes turned into hours. Her absence grew like a shadow, and a heavy unease settled in the hearts of her family. A mother's worry, a father's deep concern, and siblings all waiting for her to come back. As each second passed, it felt like an endless wait, a constant thump of fear in their hearts. In that time, Malin's world had gone dark, her laughter silenced. 6 long, painful months passed, like an eternity of uncertainty. With each passing day, hope grew fainter, and they got no answers. The searches and investigations had led to dead ends, and the silence of the unknown weighed heavily on the town, especially on the family. Malin Lindström's lifeless body was discovered in a forest deep within the serene community of Husum. The shocking nature of the crime sent shockwaves through the town and beyond. The crime that had unfolded was nothing short of a nightmare. Malin had not just met a tragic end, she had been ruthlessly murdered, her limbs bound and taped, a cruel echo of the agony she must have endured. The cruelty of the crime shocked everyone. People in the town felt a mix of denial, anger, and wanting justice more than ever. However, the greatest obstacle faced by investigators back then was the absence of cutting-edge forensic tools. They found traces of DNA on Malin's clothing, a potential key to unlocking the identity of the killer. But in 1996, the advanced techniques of modern forensic science that we take for granted today were out of reach. This left the case hanging in uncertainty. In an era when forensic science was still in its infancy, their hands were tied. They had evidence but lacked the means to decipher its secrets. This was a heart-wrenching chapter in a story that desperately needed closure. 2 years after Malin's lifeless body had been discovered, a 20-year-old man was found guilty and sentenced to 8 long years in prison. It felt like a moment of closure, like justice was finally served. However, the story took a shocking turn. In a subsequent court appeal, this man was unexpectedly acquitted, casting a shadow of doubt over the entire case. This turn of events left people perplexed and alarmed as it raised serious questions about the fairness of the initial trial. Throughout the trial, this man had asserted his innocence, despite the overwhelming evidence presented against him. Fibre from Malin's sweater had been found in his home, alongside the same type of tape that had been used to bind her. It was a horrible twist that left many wondering how justice could have slipped through their fingers. The case seemed to have reached a dead end, with a suspect now walking free. Fast forward to 2020, and the National Forensic Centre achieved something incredible. They managed to create a fresh DNA profile from the evidence that had been collected back in 1996 from Marlin's trouser. The fresh DNA profile gave a second chance to a case that had haunted both the town and the Lindström family for a long time. Using this advanced tool, the case was taken to the Supreme Court, and the new DNA profile was checked against the man now 44 years old, who had been set free after his acquittal and after 8 months of imprisonment. It was a huge breakthrough that investigators had been hoping for, a moment when the past and the present came together to seek answers and justice for Malin Lindström. The evidence against the 44-year-old suspect was strong and convincing. It was proven beyond doubt that he was indeed the one responsible for Malin Lindström's murder. The heart-wrenching reality was that Malin had not only suffered abuse, but her life was also ended with this shocking revelation. The charge was upgraded to first-degree murder. But there was more to this case than just DNA. The police had uncovered disturbing items in his home: a leather whip, weapons, and disturbing changes to Barbie dolls. Among his possessions, they found haunting and disturbing photographs and unsettling drawings. One drawing in particular sent shivers down the spine. It depicted a skull resting on a bed, mossy bog, with eerie details that matched the very place where Malin had been discovered. After a 4-day trial, all eyes were on the Court of Appeal. A 44-year-old person was on trial for the crimes on Malin Lindström, which had troubled the town since 1996. Everyone was paying attention to this important moment, where fairness and the real story would come together. In the courtroom, the prosecutor, Stina Strömqvist, made a plea for a minimum of 6 years in prison. She spoke for Malin and for her family, and for the town that had waited so long for justice to be served. On the other side, the man's defender, Ulf Holst, who had been entwined with this case since its inception in 1998, presented an opposing view. He believed his client should be acquitted entirely, and in his words, he defended a different version of events. However, in the end, the judge announced the sentence for the 44-year-old man. The Lindström family had endured unimaginable pain over the years. Malin's father, Rune Lindström, had received the news of the case reopening with a mix of emotions. It was a relief to see progress in the case, a ray of hope that justice might finally be served. The Malin Lindström true crime story reminds us of the relentless pursuit of justice. It's a tale of how modern forensic technology can breathe new life into long cold cases and bring answers to those who have waited for decades.